too much time to chess and I should play with dolls rather as a little girl instead of playing with chess pieces.
By the age of 15, Susan was the top-rated female chess player in the world. The real breakthrough came in 1988, when the Hungarian Chess Olympiad team, comprising all three Polgar sisters, won gold medals. The Polgars became a worldwide sensation.
Jöttem, hogy ezek a lányok átlagos tehetségű, átlagos képességű gyerekek.
Én azt mondom, hogy minden egészséges gyermek potenciálisan zseniként születik, és attól függ, hogy mennyire lesz zseni, amennyire az őt ért hatások ezt lehetővé teszik.
Tehát ha te mondjuk azt találod ki, hogy ezekből a gyerekekből világhíres atomfizikusok legyenek,
vagy zenészek legyenek, vagy
akkor
súlyemelők legyenek, akkor
ugyanígy az élvonalban legyenek.
Ugyanígy az élvonalban legyenek.
My father believed that the first 5-6 years of a child is determining basically the rest of her life. The problem is if you need to force a child to do something, it will not work. A child needs to be raised in such a way that he or she would have the inner feel for it, to want to study, to want to learn, to want to improve. I believe that there may be people that are talented by birth, let's say, that pick up things quicker than others. But I tend to believe more with the famous phrase that genius is 99% sweat and 1% talent.
Today, Susan lives in New York and runs her own chess school.
Very good.
Like Tony Bazin, she believes geniuses can be made, but unlike Tony, she enforces a strict regime of hard work and self-discipline.
What's another thing?
Knight to b7
Knight
check.
to b7 check. There is always a way to win. However, if it's a knight, a bishop pawn, or a rook pawn, it's usually a draw, unless the king is very close by. Okay, so white to move, the question...
Hunter Sevcik is just 6 years old. He's been hothoused by his mother since before birth and is already showing a precocious talent for chess.
King to g3 and
Only
then knight
move.
to f5.
Very good. Only move for...
I learned how the pieces move when I was 3. I've been playing since I was 4. My middle game is very good, and my opening is good. I do the 4 knights variation. Sometimes I'll do the Roy Lopez.
I have a degree in medical technology, and when I conceived my first child, I was educated to know that the child can hear you 21 weeks in utero. So I used this to my advantage and started to stimulate in utero. So I intentionally took an advanced biology course, and I would study aloud and would read the Krebs cycle and just the different chemical reactions. And then when I gave birth, we did no TV. I didn't want to distract him, and I know that the mind is forming at such a rapid pace from 0 to 5 years. And so I was very deliberate with what I did to give him the best fighting chance in life.
Here, and we're bringing the balls all the way to the very top. And at the very top, it has the highest
Potential energy.
He basically practically learned to walk in the American Museum of Natural History. And we would spend the whole day at one exhibit. We were members, so we would go there all the time. But one exhibit, he would spend 6 hours. And if we went through a diorama that had 60 different birds,
you name every
he
single
would
bird.
need to know every single bird.
When light enters your eye, it's converted to lightning bolts. Your brain has about 100 billion neurons, as many as the stars in the Milky Way.
I always felt like Hunter was an adult from the youngest. My husband was working in Wall Street 100 zillion hours, and I would sit Hunter down on the couch, and I would have an adult conversation with him, and I would tell him how I miss his father not being around and how I needed an adult to speak with. And he would just really intently listen to me, and he was a child. Like Hunter, to me, was like he was part of me, like my soul. I never had to explain myself. He totally understood me, and he could feel my feelings.
Gene, I want to do it. See the colors? The question is, how does the light become 7 colors of the rainbow? Well, the raindrops act like a prism for the light. The light passes through the raindrops and refracts light. The light turns into the 7 colors of the rainbow, and that's what forms a rainbow.
Wow, we got something big eating over here.
Hey, Stephen. I'm sorry. There must be something over
Hunter?
there.
What kind of
Chris,
butterfly?
monarch.
What's the Latin name for the monarch?
Danish platypus.
Do I believe that he's a genius? Absolutely. Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Wow, neat. Looks a darker blue when you put it in.
In the end, geniuses have to drive themselves. They have to be inner motivated and push themselves along. Now, if they get hot-housed too vigorously, so they expect adults or somebody else to kind of boost them all the time, or even that they get put off because they feel failures, then their inner motivation will suffer. And that's going to do them no good in the many decades they're going to be spending away from parents, away from adults, on their own, having to fuel themselves.
It's the 4th month of the Beechwood experiment, and Tony Bazan is trying to find each child's inner motivation. He's invited them to his home to get to know them better.
You can put, yeah, it is. Put your shoes in a line down there.
Tony wants to talk to each child individually to discover their particular interests and encourage their ambitions.
Okay. And then your leverage comes from here, see?
He believes that if he can help the children to motivate themselves, he may just achieve his goal.
So you've got 95, 97, 100 in 40 seconds. You could be anything you...
There, fire one.
Do you think you're talented enough to do those things? Quite enough? I do. In fact, I know you are.
Go to college, work in a college.
Brilliant idea.
Open the padlock with
The key.
lock.
Superman has to have a key to unlock his padlock. Okay.
Whoa, well done.
Today, Tony is also focusing on memory skills.
Stick, the one, yeah?
Properly taught memory skills are, interestingly, the basis for genius. The basis for memory is imagination combined with association. Those are the 2 key elements for genius. Leonardo da Vinci and many other geniuses spent their lives imagining and making these phenomenal associations. So what we are doing when we're teaching the children memory skills is giving them literally the stepping stones to genius. Okay, so if we work on your memory system...
He soon realizes that some of the children have real problems with their short-term memory.
Let's say that we were going shopping and we had to buy some eggs. You might picture your house and you walk out the front door and there's a whole bunch of eggs which you stand on. Okay. The second thing we have to buy is, say what?
Fruit.
Fruit. Okay, so we say apples. Okay, so do you have a gate anywhere near your house? When you walk out of your front door, what's the first thing you see?
A little fence.
Okay, so fence. And we got apples. How are we going to connect the apples to the fence?
Put them next to it.
Or stick them on it.
Yeah.
But you've got a good imagination. Stick the apples on it. Okay. So you walk out of the door, what's the first thing you step on?
Apples.
No, that's the second one.
Oh, ground.
Yeah, and what's on the ground in front of your door? Eggs?
Oh, yeah, eggs and
Okay.
apples.
So you imagine yourself walking out. Can you picture your house? Yeah. And you walk out, and what does your foot land on?
Eggs.
What's the sound?
Crunch.
Right, perfect.
He won't say anything. He won't even speak to the teachers at school.
Yes, I will.
He speaks, but they have to like, force it
I
out of
don't.
him.
I speak.
He's just about.
It's just through lessons, though. They're just always calling me names, across the room and stuff like that. And that's why sometimes I can't get on and do my work.
It's just like 2 different boys, isn't it? At home and at school. two different people. Because I say to the teachers, oh no, at home he's not like this. You wouldn't believe what he's like.
Give me a list of all the things you would like to remember about cars in order, and we'll teach you how to remember it.
It makes anything.
Huh?
Makes models.
Yeah, makes and models would be perfect.
The Beechwood Six appear to be thriving under Tony's relaxed approach. In New York, a much stricter regime is running into trouble for 6-year-old Hunter Sevcik.
He's playing chess at least 6 days a week, and I always have a board and pieces in my trunk to pick up a game at any park at any time. I want to protect him from the evils of his other opponents across the board, and how children can be very cruel and nasty. Take it easy, all right? Take it easy. You've been a clown long enough. Now take it easy. No, listen. He wants to win, and I push him to win. I know I do. I push him to win. And you know what? I'm not a terrible parent. A lot of parents are like, how dare you? Does he even enjoy chess? And my answer is, you know what? He enjoys winning. And in order to win, there's a lot of work that needs to be done off the board. And I keep threatening him that if he doesn't appreciate what we're doing for him, I'm going to stop protecting him and I'm going to let him go. But I am unable to do that.
Who took his Check.
Thank you.
Who won?
Good boy. Yes, good boy.
He doesn't like to lose. If he loses, all of a sudden, he may be in an uncomfortable position.
Okay. As Hunter pushes himself, he finds it increasingly difficult to cope with defeat.
Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Don't let them see you do this, Hunter.
Dragon's gonna play you now, Hunter.
Everyone else is watching, never.
He puts his hands, his fists, and he starts to shake. Like this. He gets really upset. His face turns red. And
Well, it gets a little more of an intense game at that point.
Then I turn to the Hunter, are you okay? Are you okay? Then he'll wince and he'll, like, start to, like, maybe scream. Not like scream, but like, like that.
I can get nervous, yes. I guess I can get upset.
I mean, he was vomiting in the bathroom. And not once, not twice, but many, many times. It was like crazy. I mean, I pulled
It comes from screaming.
I pulled
He
him
starts
from
to
work
scream.
one day, and I heard the house was shaking. Gene, like, couldn't even believe what was going on. He was with the two boys, and Hunter was just beside himself. But that was because he was playing an opponent from the chess club that he knows, so the stakes were even so much higher.
Einstein's unusually large parietal region. It's huge. And
He's going to be a very, very bright boy that's going to do something and contribute something to the world.
parietal region in Einstein's
With such high parental expectations, Hunter may struggle to succeed, unless he finds a subject he's genuinely passionate about and wants to pursue for himself, not to please others.
Can you reach it?
All the evidence on hothousing is that it's not very good for children's health, well, mental health. The future of children who have been hothoused is probably that they will return to where they would have been had they not been hothoused. If they're bright to start with, they will stay bright, but the likelihood of them being geniuses is extremely small.
At Beechwood School in Slough, the 6-month experiment is beginning to show results. Tony's apparently low-key approach is producing increasingly confident children.
Book, video, rubber, stamp, bottle of water.
See if you can tell me which ones you forgot.
Glue stick, hole puncher, pen. So would it be good if the phone rang like the conversation?
So tell me more about how you remember and how you're going to.
Like, these two make a sound.
Yeah.
And like, I remember it that way. And like, because this one makes a sound as well.
Yeah.
Like, I can like put all the things in a sound compartment, and then like this, it makes a sound. You've got to see things, you've got to smell things, you've got to taste things, you've got to touch things.
Do you know what visualize means?
Think, colour.
Yeah, to think of things with your eyes' imagination, so to picture them in your head. So put visualize.
So the left side of the brain, right side of the brain, we have rhythm, colour, imagination, daydreaming, and space. So what do you think the left side contains?
You're sitting like this. You can't breathe very well. Collapse in the middle of the test. Your brain doesn't get the oxygen. Right? The brain here really needs oxygen.
3, it's Laura and Zoe. Act 4, Aaron, Gary, and Sheridan.
Though the 6 are making progress, they've also started having problems with other children in the school.
I'm getting bullied at the moment. Loads of things happening to me. And everything else, so I think I am a bit naughtier than I was 6 months ago.
Yeah, it doesn't make you naughty if you're being bullied, though. It's not your fault.
But there's a problem with the bullying bit. I retaliate.
Well, it's kind of natural.
And like, because I retaliate, I get in trouble for it by the teachers. And I don't think that's fair. Because I got put in isolation yesterday because of bullying. And I got in trouble for it. So all I can tell you, people don't see what it's really like. But I see what it's like because it's happening to me at the moment. And it's just unfair. So.
One of the side products of teaching children to manifest themselves, especially when they've been suppressed, is that in a sense you've got like a pressure cooker, and when you let it out, it explodes. You get so excited, you go slightly out of control, and you begin to get a new confidence that you never had before.
Tony comes up with a solution to some of the behaviour problems. He decides to channel the children's energy into a creative performance for parents and staff that will mark the end of the experiment.
Well, that man over there told me, rang me at the police officer, you're a crazy woman, speaking up and...
Good, run.
Aaron, the shyest of the 6, who 3 months ago had difficulty remembering 3 items on a shopping list, wants to perform a memory feat of his own.
This is a VW, yes, VW.
He sets himself an extremely tough goal, to memorize 105 facts about more than 30 cars in the school car park.
Yeah, that's rowing, and you know that I coach rowing. Yeah, put a little picture of the rowers. Blue, light blue. Yeah. We'll call this, not the same as the other one, is it? So, sky blue, yeah, sky blue.
Volkswagen Sharon.
The Volkswagen Sharon.
Hello.
All right.
But first, the moment of truth arrives for Tony Bazan and the Beechwood 6. They are retested by the educational psychologists to measure how much progress they've made over the 6 months of the experiment.
Yellow, blue, it's hard, man. Yellow, blue, Yellow.
We're wiki people, psychologists.
Red. Yeah.
I'm going to read the two numbers and you say them to me backwards. So if I said to you 5, 6, you'd say to me
6, 5.
Brilliant. 8, 4, 5.
5, 4, 8.
Good. 6, 4, 4, 3.
Oh, then.
Have a go.
3, 4, 4, 6.
You can do it. That was excellent. Shiver. Can you tell me what the word shiver means?
It means when it's cold you start shaking.
Fantastic. The word trade. What does the word trade mean?
It means where you well, if someone's got something and you both want to swap it, you swap it.
Good. I'll put the word down, swap. Well done.
After analysing the results, Vivian Hill and Jude Mortell returned to Beechwood School to deliver their findings.
Overall, within the group of 6 children, we saw that they had made significant progress, i.e. more than you would expect with maturity and time and practice effects in 70% of the cognitive skills that we assess, which is really quite a powerful and impressive finding. But the thing that I think struck me most as the highest level of significance was the change in their verbal skills and abilities. The children have made 5 times the level of progress in their verbal skills that we would have expected in the time frame.
5 times?
5 times. They've moved from the very lowest end of the average ability range to securely average, and some of them are in the above average range now.
All the children show a dramatic improvement in their abilities. But Sheridan appears to have also found the elusive qualities of self-motivation and focus.
Now we're going to do one more. Okay. First word that I want you to tell me about is purpose. What does purpose mean?
Say you had a TV in your hand, and someone's below you, you drop the telly on purpose. Deliberate.
So, deliberate, good. He's so calm, he's so motivated, he's quite confident. Sheridan has been the child who's made the most consistent progress in all areas of learning. That's very good indeed, Sheridan. Even more important, his behaviour has shifted and he doesn't feel under pressure from the peer group not to enjoy learning and not to participate. He's actually identified that learning can be fun.
I like geography, like maths, like English, like history, and sometimes PSRE.
The changes in Sheridan are just so marked that it's almost very, very difficult to believe it's the same child. It's really quite remarkable, and really I don't think if I hadn't personally witnessed it that I'd necessarily believe it.
Tony Bazan has demonstrated a huge improvement in all the children. But is there any evidence that one of them has the potential for genius?
What I think Tony Bazan has shown is that you can increase children's mental ability enormously with the right kind of attention and opportunities. There is no question about that, and he has done it brilliantly. But that does not make them into gifted children, and it does not give them the opportunity to be geniuses.
Susan Polgar had the opportunity and seized it. Through sheer hard work and determination, she became one of the world's leading chess players. Doran Blake, thanks to the genius sperm bank, has the genes, but has yet to show the single-minded inner desire to become a genius. Hunter Sevcik might have the potential, but may be unable to handle the pressure. Ada John is now 3 years old. It's too early to say whether she has the will or the talent to realize her mother's dreams.
The 2 prime components of genius are intellectual prowess and personal qualities. Now, intellectual prowess, if you like, is the starting point. That's what will drive young children along because they'll learn very quickly. But once they're learning quickly and they're on that big curve upwards, it's going to be personality traits that will either drive them along or stop them. And you've got to make a big leap from being pretty clever to being a genius. And it's at that point that the interplay of intellectual excellence and personality will come into play.
So let me introduce the six. We have Laura.
At Beechwood, it's the day of the final performance.
We have Zoe.
The children are nervous, most performing in public for the first time. But it's a chance for them to show what they've achieved and how far Tony has helped them to find self-confidence and the tools to learn.
The title of this is The Brain, Two Sides. What happened?
Perhaps the biggest surprise comes from Aaron's incredible memory challenge.
Skodafabia, Silvan is Polish.
Correct.
And then the next one's a Vauxhall Cavalier, red, and that's UK USA.
Correct.
And then VW Polo is white, and it's German, and it had a...
He remembers all 105 facts.
Genius is trainable, it is teachable, it is nurturable. So what we have the responsibility of doing is nurturing all the children, not a few special, but all of them, to maximize their extraordinary potential.
I never used to be confident, I always used to be nervous, but I'm not anymore. I just enjoyed it so much. I can't limit the fun I've had.
He's waiting, isn't he? He's waiting for the best to happen to us. He's like, he's really confident of us.
The Beechwood children may not conform to most people's idea of genius, but what they've achieved is far more than many imagined possible. It seems Tony Buzan has indeed proved his point. In every generation, thousands of potentially great minds are being ignored or wasted. If so much can be accomplished with difficult children in so little time, what might be possible with the right sort of help and encouragement for children who are average and above? And what difference might that make to the world? In the next episode of In Search of Genius, the super bright who are already demonstrating that spark of genius. How can they be nurtured so that they reach their full potential? And how can we prevent the tragedy of failure?
And part 2 can be seen later tonight at 11:20 here on BBC Two.
I study linguistics because I like to see all the patterns of how the languages all fit together.
C minus 2 times A equals 1.
At A-level I'm doing maths, further maths, statistics.
Latin is the root of mainly all the Romance languages.
Physics, chemistry, Latin.
And Greek came before that.
History, philosophy and ethics, and economics. So that's 9.
And Sanskrit came before that, and maybe before that was Indo-European.
If we want to make sure that children who have the potential to be a genius do their very best, then I think from the very beginning we've got to give them the facilities and opportunities to develop throughout their lives.
How do we identify which of today's bright or gifted children will go on to reach those heights of genius? At 18, Jocelyn Lavin appeared to have it all with 6 A's at A-level. But just 3 years later, she failed her degree.
I tend to just refer it as, oh, it's that failed genius thing again, because I used to be really clever, but I'm not anymore.
This film follows the story of 3 gifted children who could be geniuses of the future. How can they be nurtured so that they reach their full potential? And how can we prevent the tragedy of failure? Jocelyn Lavin was just 4 when she started school. But almost immediately, her precocious ability became clear. She seemed to be a genius in the making, top in every subject.
School days were a fantastic time, and it's one of those things that you'd really have to be there and have experienced it to understand what the atmosphere is like. And every time I'm talking to someone who I knew from school, the same thing comes out, you know, that it was just a fantastic place, and people have such good memories of it.
A keen amateur astronomer, Jocelyn was one of the few teenage girls to join her local astronomical society.
She was just a young, skinny, frizzy-haired little teenager basically. Very inquisitive, very much wanted to learn and find out and be involved, and we were all quite awe-inspired by her ability.
Taking 6 A-levels, she never dreamt she would do anything but sail right through them, and she did, getting 6 grade A's.
I'd always done that well. It wasn't a surprise. It was just, to me, it was just how things had always been. I'd never got anything other than A.
Jocelyn set off for university to study 2 of her favourite subjects, mathematics and astronomy. Anything seemed possible, but when she got to London University, things began to change.
I remember very clearly what was the first instance where I knew that things weren't going to be the same, was when they gave out the first problem sheet from a maths class that I was doing. And suddenly it was difficult, and I couldn't just write down the answers without thinking about it too much. And there were questions I couldn't actually see how to do at all, and that was a complete novelty for me.
Jocelyn was no longer coming top. For the first time in her life, she had to work. Eventually, she gave up completely. 3 years after getting her 6 A-levels, Jocelyn failed her degree.
The gifted have a special problem in that they're expected to be successful all the time, because why else do you deserve the label of giftedness? And they then become under considerable pressure of people demanding, expecting of them, that they do extremely well at school and in examinations.
Professor Joan Freeman has spent more than 30 years studying gifted children, those whose intelligence puts them in the top 5% of the population. Only a very few of these might ever go on to reach the heights of genius. But what are the factors that decide someone deserves the label of genius?
Genius is very, very rare to me, and it's someone who in adulthood has made a difference to the world. It's that huge difference.
Across here, and finally, we go down there.
Professor Ted Ragg, one of the country's leading educationalists, has studied the processes by which children learn.
And that's how we solve the problem. And that's how often you can solve the problem, by doing something very unusual. Think in straight lines, don't you?
He believes defining exactly what we mean by the word genius is no easy task.
Who's your genius?
Albert Einstein.
And why is that?
Because he's cleverer than most average people. Santa Claus, because
Why
he
is
can
that?
fly
Yeah.
around the world in one night. Thomas Edison,
Why do you think Thomas Edison was a genius?
he invented electricity.
Okay, and what's yours?
It's not a person, it's quite natural, but it's quite good. A seed, because all you need is to plant it, and then it does all of it, grows it all by itself.
So you think you can define genius in many ways, of course. You can say it's somebody who's pretty outstanding in our age, or you can say it's so rarefied that it's only people like Leonardo da Vinci and Einstein. I would go for a medium position on this. I would say it's got to be pretty rare. Otherwise, you might as well use other words like excellent, outstanding, brilliant. And also that it's not that rare that it only happens every 5 centuries. I think in any period of human existence, there are bound to be several people around who can quite properly be called a genius. A piece of tin can.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
How can we ensure that these future geniuses are spotted? What are the vital ingredients of greatness? And what should we be doing to help them reach their full potential, while preventing them from failing as Jocelyn did? To try and find out, Joan Freeman is visiting Jocelyn, who was part of her original study.
God, 20 years? I don't know.
Not.
I don't know, maybe 15, but it's a lot.
Oh, well, you look younger and look at my hair.
It's grown. There's a lot more of it.
I love exams. I've always loved exams.
Is it the excitement?
Oh,
Well,
yeah. Love it.
I think your results at A-level were the highest of the whole of my sample of 210 young people.
Yes, that was my peak.
6 A's at A-level, which was extremely unusual in those days. It was rare. And to have done it, as you say, without too much stress, without overworking, is even more extraordinary. You've got an enormous ability in there.
Had.
So just why did Jocelyn fail her degree?
It's a little bit of a problem that I am interested in lots of things, because at any given moment there's at least 5 things I want to be doing all at the same time. I find it so hard to settle down to work.
Jocelyn found that once she had to study hard to succeed, the enjoyment was lost. Although she may have had the ability, she lacked the motivation to work. Any chance of developing into a future genius was lost.
Having a high IQ is essential if you're going to be a genius, but it's only a part of being a genius. On top of that, you need keenness, motivation, opportunity, support, all those other things in life, and a great desire to persevere in the direction where you're going.
Demis Hassabis is already showing vital ingredients of genius. He's single-minded and determined. By 16, he had taken his A-levels.
Well, that should be right then.
He's now the business brain and creative genius behind one of the country's most innovative computer games companies. It's an industry that he believes will change the world.
I think its impact will be as much as film one day. It's definitely a worthy field to be in. Perhaps it's not as worthy as, you know, being a doctor or saving lives, but then, you know, not everyone can do that. And I think, you know, that clever people shouldn't be just about prolonging our lives if there's nothing, you know, worth living for, which I think arts and entertainment is what adds spice to life, really.
The worst thing about the computer games industry is the word games, because anybody who doesn't know anything about the games industry thinks that we are doing Space Invader games, which are about intellectually equivalent of jigsaw puzzle. Actually, computer games are revolutionizing the world already.
I think we'll be able to create a whole new kind of art form or works of art that weren't possible in other kind of media before.
From a small boy, Demis was incredibly driven. At just 4 years old, he was a chess prodigy. By 12, he was the world's highest-ranked chess player for his age. But then he had to face his first major setback.
But it was quite traumatic when I lost this quite major chess game when I was 12. It was the first time I'd ever lost to somebody younger than me. And suddenly I realised, actually, maybe it's something I don't, you know, why is it? Have I assumed that it's something I'm going to be doing forever? And is it the right thing to do forever?
Demis decided chess wasn't the way he wanted to spend his life. He channeled his talent into new areas, discovering a unique ability in computing, particularly in computer games. Unlike Jocelyn, Demis's setback spurred him on to try even harder.
I don't think anything has been achieved without some pain on the way that was worth achieving. And I'm willing to make a lot of personal sacrifice, and have done, in terms of, you know, maybe social life or fun or, you know, normal things that people would get up to achieve what I believe is something worth achieving.
I think all of us have a metaphorical on-off switch inside our heads. We're either tuned in and motivated, i.e. we'll give something the time and what psychologists call arousal, being up for it, being interested, or our switch is in the off position, in which case we won't, however clever we are. Now, in order to be a successful genius, you actually have to have your switch firmly in the on position. If you're not motivated, if you're not driven to pursue your talents, then you'll never make that breakthrough that'll get you the accolade of genius.
Demis's opportunity to develop his talent arrived when he won a prize in a competition, work experience at one of the country's leading computer games companies run by Peter Molyneux.
Some people have this absolute urge and enthusiasm, this sort of fire inside them, but that real driving force, ambition that Demis has was hard to contain. He had passion with creativity. You kind of knew that this is going to be somebody who was going to be, you know, different, really.
Peter became a mentor to Demis and was eager for him to stay. But Demis was too much of a risk taker. He decided to start up his own computer company. And he embarked on a huge project, developing a revolutionary new computer game called Republic.
Republic was an unbelievably ambitious title for anybody to attempt, anybody in the world to attempt. For a group of people to attempt it as their first title while they're creating a company is superhuman effort.
The president starts off with 50,000 of each resource so that he can keep going.
The others have what, just computer player, something or other?
Yeah, computer player and then a strand.
Right, well that should be right then.
Yeah.
In theory.
Yeah.
I've been spending probably an average of 16 hours a day, 6.5 days a week, actually in here in the office, just working on the game.
Demis wanted to create a game unlike any other. A contest of epic political strategy. But his plans were so ambitious that even he was surprised at how tough it was to develop the new game.
I knew it was going to be really hard. I also knew it was going to be harder than I thought it was, but it was still harder than all of that. So it was harder than I could possibly imagine it was going to be.
Already, Demis is recognized as a visionary in the industry, so expectations were high. All the computer magazines were beginning to talk about the extraordinarily talented designer and the soon-to-be-released game that promised so much. In schools across the country, there are thousands of gifted children. The question is how to spot who is likely to turn not just into a clever adult, but into someone who could be a genius of the future. Paul Jeffries is one such talent. At 15, he is one of the most brilliant teenage mathematicians in the world. He already has 11 A-starred GCSEs.
And to get 11 A stars without a great deal of revision. I think he revised for 10 minutes for geography. He's quite something. When the boys saw him leaving the exam hall early on some examination, like the maths, I think the maths he was allowed to leave after 35, he had finished it in 35 minutes. There were a few faces turning as he walked out.
Paul's parents spotted his remarkable mathematical ability early on.
At 5+, he was, I remember, standing on his head on the sofa and doing fraction sums of the form 1 over 256 plus 1 over 64, or 1 over 128 minus 1 over 32, and that sort of thing, which I thought was quite surprising.
Paul kept coming home and saying, I'm bored and I need to do something else. And we felt that we needed to enrich him. I really didn't want to have a child that was going to be this bright. It was quite scary.
Paul's mother and father tried to provide a home life which has as little pressure as possible.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah.
Have a good day.
That's all right.
It's very important not to push bright children. Children like him, I think, need a lot of warmth, love. They need a lot of love, lots of understanding. And you need time to be there, to be able to listen to what they're saying. They push themselves. I don't think parents need to push them.
The Fruitleys are mine.
I know! Chill!
Paul has a voracious mental appetite.
The more food, the better.
Hi, Rick. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you doing? All right?
Yeah. He likes intellectual stimulation, so he reads a lot. He reads avidly.
There you go, I can have some up-to-date news. And I'm nearly done with The Economist as well.
You know, square numbers are 1, 4, 9, 16, things like
Paul's mathematical ability is so exceptional, he stopped going to his school's maths lessons when he was just 12. His maths teacher believes he's unique.
Do you think he is a genius?
I do, yeah. He's something special mathematically. He can cut to the heart of a maths problem like nobody I've ever known before.
Where are we? Which question are we doing?
That one.
We're back to that one. Okay, very good. Is anybody close to anything else?
DC times...
To provide the intellectual stimulation that Paul so desperately needs, he's competing in an intense competition, the International Mathematics Olympiad, known as the IMO.
C equals 3A equals 1, B equals 2. Case 2, B equals A plus 2. Clearly C then equals A plus 1.
500 teenagers battle each year to find the world's best mathematicians. They'll be working on questions that, to the rest of us, appear incomprehensible.
We're going to see that that's...
So A equals 4, B equals... So the problem goes like this. Can we have infinitely many numbers, say x, such that x and x plus 1 and x 72, 73 and 74 also have this property. But now 2 squared plus 4 squared is 20. That's 2 more. Is that a coincidence? No, it's not. Plus n minus k minus 1 squared equals 2n. Pair infinitely many integers such that, the integer plus 1 and the integer plus 2 are sums of pairs of perfect squares.
A plus D, A plus 2D, A plus 3D.
The odds are stacked against the British team. The Russians and Chinese will have been training intensively for more than a year. Today, all the teams are arriving in Glasgow to compete in the 2002 competition. The winners will receive gold, silver or bronze medals. But Paul isn't interested in anything other than gold.
I'm supposed to do well. I want to get a gold. I don't know if I will, but hopefully I will.
Students competing in the IMO face 2 4.5-hour exams. It's one of the toughest examinations in the world. Today, this room may well contain some of the most important brains of the future.
On the high end of the spectrum, then those people are actually quite important to society. They might make discoveries, they might make breakthroughs, they might do things which change the world in some way. So they deserve a little bit of attention.
The last grueling exam of the Olympiad is over. Now the students face a tense wait to find out how they have done. Although he's the best student in the British team, Paul is concerned that he hasn't done as well as he had expected.
I haven't done badly, but I haven't done well either. So I've done probably slightly underperformed. But
there's one difficult question, one impossible question, and one astoundingly impossible question. And in both the papers, both the astoundingly impossible questions were in the area he was weakest.
Bella Bottle Bash can be very aggressive, or his marking scheme is very aggressive. So
it seems that in one answer, Paul has left out a crucial detail. It could cost him the gold, the only medal he wants.
All right.
Paul's only hope is for Jeff to appeal to the examiners.
It's geometry question 2, UNK 5. Here is the controversy.
He hasn't explained where in the diagram he's used. I can understand that you feel that even given the mark scheme, the interpretation is harsh. They've been interpreting it all the way through as you must explain precisely where in the diagram you've used the significance of that. But I can see why that does seem very harsh.
There's nothing we can do. As the UK team, we can't conceivably appeal to the jury. It would be completely out of order, so we have to accept the decision, and that's fine. We aren't happy, but what must be, must be. All right? Thank you very much. Nothing further.
The examiners have marked Paul down just 1 point.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
But it's enough for him to lose gold.
After the...
Jeff breaks the news to a devastated Paul.
Because you made a slip.
I'm not feeling that great because I didn't get a gold, and I'm feeling kind of down about it. I wanted to get a gold, so it was a failure.
Paul can only look on as the Chinese and Russian teams go up to collect their gold medals. He is forced to make do with silver.
He was still in the top 40 mathematicians in the world at the age of 15, which is pretty darn good, but he quite rightly knew that he hadn't done as well as he had a right to expect, and he was extremely miserable about it for a long time. And I felt for him.
The Mathematics Olympiad have provided Paul with the intellectual challenge he needs. Charles Thompson, however, is struggling to find an inner drive.
He's like, you know he's a pimp, because look at him. You know he's got to be rich, because he's had some kind of nose surgery or something. So what's going on is, he's kind of rich, but he's stingy with his money. He's like Scrooge.
He's bored at school and a handful at home.
Forget that. You're with a really crappy lover like me, yeah? And I'm on the other island, and you say, I've got to get over there to get me some good loving.
We've always said if we had him first, we wouldn't have had any more children. So it was a good job he was in the middle, really. But no, he's not troublesome. We knew he was sort of different, shall we say, because he's always been the real explorer and investigator.
Why? Because I don't like the way she interrogated, like, oh, did it indeed?
Charles's talent was largely unrecognised till he got his SATs results. He came top of his year.
Who
said Mrs. Nix was the worst?
It's still unclear just how great his potential might be. But he's at real risk of jeopardising what could be a brilliant future.
Because she splashed the thing.
When this tape comes out, my mum will be shocked because I don't enjoy schoolwork at all. A lot of schoolwork is tedious. I'll enjoy the learning process beforehand, but not the schoolwork that comes afterwards.
It's quite a fine line that he's treading. He likes to be challenged, and he will test sort of teachers in various situations just to see how they'll react and how far he can go.
It's caused us anguish when we have had to face staff that are either telling us that he's naughty or disruptive, or they're finding him frustrating for different reasons. And it's usually that he's very questioning, and they don't like it, you know.
Charles prefers to spend his time skateboarding.
The thing that I love about skateboarding is danger about it, the excitement when you're going down 7 stairs, whether you're going to smash your face off the floor or not. The school is very institutionalised, and I don't like that about school. Skateboarding is the complete opposite.
Charles needs to find the enthusiasm to kickstart his talent. Otherwise, any chance of developing into a future genius could be lost. For Elaine Watt, it's not boredom that's the problem, but bullying. Coming top at school has made her a target for the bullies.
She has said quite loudly and repeatedly, I don't want to be top, because if I'm top, I'm a social outcast.
She went into her year 1 class, and I don't really know exactly what happened, but she went from a not very happy child to an extremely unhappy child with the beginnings of behavioural problems.
Yeah.
I've never felt I fitted in because I'm not particularly sporty and I'm not totally shopping, which are the 2 groups at in my year. I find it difficult to fit in because I don't know what I'm supposed to say or do.
Oh, that's all right then. I get a yarn, do I? She has found it very, very hard, and we've had many a tearful episode with her over being different. And I wish I wasn't as bright as I am. I wish I wasn't clever. So, but well, it's just not cool to be bright.
Elaine has an astonishing gift for languages. At 12, she's already studying 6, including Greek, Hebrew and Sanskrit.
Why I learn all 6, because I like to see all the patterns of how the languages all fit together. Because Latin is the root of mainly all the Romance languages, and Greek came before that, and Sanskrit came before that. So, French just helps for that, and German, it was just part of, I had to learn it. And so that's, and Modern Hebrew just because I really wanted to learn it.
Elaine's passion for language is obvious. It's less clear if she's getting the best chance to develop all her talents and so become a genius in the future. In an attempt to help children like Charles and Elaine realise their true abilities, the government has set up the first British summer school for gifted children. Charles is one of the lucky few to get a place. Could this be what finally inspires him to work?
I personally expect more from Charles. This year is a very serious year for him at school, and up to a couple of weeks ago he didn't actually did his own work as he's supposed to. He has to do better than he's doing at this present moment.
Hopefully I'll see a lot of people who use their intelligence to a good effect, but I'm not using it at the moment. Hopefully it will motivate me.
I'm thrilled for him, and thrilled that he's getting that sort of recognition in a sense, because he's kind of struggled for that for quite a few years.
Elaine's waiting to see if she too has won a place at the summer school.
Hello. Yes, this is Elaine. Oh, thank you ever so much. Being given a place on the summer school.
Oh wow, well done!
There were only 12 places, Daddy.
12?
And they had hundreds and hundreds of applications.
Yeah, and you've got it. Oh wow, well done.
Wow, you've got to let me go. It's on the 22nd of July.
I think it'll do her the world of good. I might have a few peaceful moments without her, though I love her dearly. But no, I'm really thrilled because I think she'll gain so much for herself in it, and she'll really enjoy it. And it'd be nice to be with people like Elaine.
Today, more than 100 of the UK's brightest children are meeting at the University of Warwick for the 3-week summer school. In this crowd, there may well be geniuses of the future.
Too often in the past what has happened is that if someone is particularly intellectually clever, they're forced to hide their ability from their age peers. So that often manifests itself as disruptive behaviour. They cause problems in class, they become unhappy at home. So what we're trying to do is to provide them with the intellectual stimulus to ensure that they, yes, they carry on interacting with their friends at school, but also they get something extra that they need to keep their mind going and keep them challenged and keep them as part of our education system.
But thanks for coming along, and you're going to enjoy this. In a quarter of an hour's time, you'll be going away with all the gear that you require, but it's imperative and it's important.
The aim is to push these children to think in creative and innovative ways that they haven't had the opportunity to do before. They'll be taught like university students, with lecturers rather than school teachers.
Than the same tube that's on your rocket launcher. That's the rocket launcher. But there's a couple of things you've really got to observe. The glue that you're going to be using is rather probably new to you. It's very
An unusual and stimulating array of subjects are on offer, many in areas the children have never explored before. Elaine is taking a break from her languages and learning about rocketry.
Oh yeah, that's sort of aerodynamic and shape.
You're thinking clever now.
Oh, what about this? That'd be quite a cool shape, won't it? Probably totally impractical, but it's fun. Fun for everyone.
Charles takes a hands-on class learning about inventions.
The swimming sperm.
Swimming sperm.
Yes.
At every stage, the children are encouraged to think more laterally and creatively and to really push the boundaries of their education.
8, 4. Got a pattern of odd-numbered lines. And it goes 1, 2, 2, 4, 2.
It's really difficult.
In the pattern. And then the even-numbered lines are twice that. It goes 2, 4, 4, 8, 4.
1, 3, 3, 1 makes 8, and it doubles each time.
They won't be used to discussing mathematical ideas with their peers. So we're going to be getting them interacting with each other, working through problems together, sort of like investigations, trying to get them to solve a mathematical puzzle.
Warwick appears to offer two important benefits. It prevents bright children like these from feeling socially isolated. More importantly, by encouraging the students to stretch themselves intellectually, they're given a glimpse of what they might be able to achieve in the future. For Charles and Elaine, it's a big success.
I've always been used to being able to talk on a level of an adult, but I've been able to talk to people my own age on the same level, which is really, really fun, because when I'm talking to an adult, I have to be careful of what I say sometimes, but with a child, you can just talk more normally.
It has been impressive. I've met some people who can speak 7 or 8 languages and fluently, and it's actually frightening sometimes.
Warwick plans to keep in touch with the students, who become members of its National Academy for Gifted and Talented Youths. Their progress will be monitored and other events organised throughout the year. The question is whether Charles and Elaine will be able to build on what they have learned here. Today, Demis Hassabis has flown to LA for the publicity launch of his innovative new game, Republic. He's at the largest computer show in the world, Expo E3. The game has proved to be far harder to develop than Demis had expected, and so the team is delivering it late.
Pretty much all the way through the last 3 years of the development of Republic, we've been under intense pressure really to deliver it, because obviously we were starting to get late, and to deliver what we promised as well in terms of the technology and the ambitious idea to start off with. Hi guys.
Republic has been 4.5 years in the making. It's key for the future of Demis's company that the game is a success. He and his marketing team have an exhausting week of non-stop meetings ahead of them. But can Demis convince the buyers and computer journalists that Republic truly is a work of genius?
The aim of the game is you're a faction leader. It's set in the ex-Soviet Union just after the fall of communism, so it's like mid-1990s. So the very first objective that you have is to recruit your right-hand man, a second in command. So part of the storyline of the game is that you haven't visited your hometown for 20 years. This is the first time you've come back. So
Demis's game uses artificial intelligence techniques that have never been previously used in a computer game. His team has created characters who have the ability to think independently of each other, something no one has succeeded in doing before.
The main difference and uniqueness of the artificial intelligence for Republic is the fact that the artificial intelligence had to control such a vast number of different characters. So there were thousands and thousands of different characters in our city, populating our cities.
Sadly for Demis, Republic hasn't become a major commercial hit. But within the industry, its technical achievement has been recognized.
You have to be a top one.
I cannot think of another games company that has ever even come close to what Demis achieved. He went out there and funded a company which attracted millions of pounds of investment from the city. It attracted a publishing contract with one of the main publishers, and it attracted some of the brightest people from Cambridge. You try doing any of those today, and it's almost impossible.
He's definitely going to be changing the computer industry, I believe, because it's a revolution in game design that we haven't seen in a long time.
So
it's very James Bondish from the other side of
yes, absolutely.
Demis has already started developing his next game. His exceptional ability is evident, but he also shows such traits as determination, creativity, risk-taking, and lateral thinking in ways no one has done before. Could he be on the path to genius?
Genius is not unidimensional, it's got several dimensions to it. Of course, there's a huge intellectual element to it. You've got to be very, very clever in a particular field. But then on top of that, you may have to have a certain personality trait, like determination, or willingness to bite the bullet, to do something very unusual, quirky, offbeat. If you've got that combination, then maybe you're a certain kind of genius that's willing to take on the world.
A gifted mathematician, Paul Jeffreys was deeply disappointed when he only got a silver medal in the 2002 International Maths Olympiad, the competition for the best teenage mathematicians. Always wanting to push himself, Paul has set himself a new challenge. He has decided to take 9 A-levels.
Some people take the position that because God created us, we shouldn't try changing ourselves at all, because... At A-level I'm doing maths, further maths, statistics, physics, chemistry, Latin, history, philosophy and ethics, and economics. So that's 9. I think the pressure just spurs me on to succeed, to do better, because if you're under pressure, you just get the thing done. So I mean, if I have 4 essays to do in 2 hours, then I do 4 essays in 2 hours.
Despite all his schoolwork, Paul hasn't given up hope of finally getting a gold in the International Maths Olympiad. He's entered the 2003 competition, this time held in Tokyo.
It's the evening after the first exam. I've just been for a run. The exam was about as bad as it can be expected, actually. Should have done a lot better. Well, there goes my dream for another year. Barring a miracle of the highest order, I've basically got no chance of getting a gold, which is not good. But I knew after yesterday I needed a good day today, and I just had an average day.
To Paul's amazement, he's done better than he expected and has finally captured that elusive gold.
I was kind of almost tearful because it was just like, it was so unexpected, and I've just been like on an emotional roller coaster for the past few days, thinking I've done badly and then slowly thinking I've done better and so on. And it was very draining, and obviously I was completely happy and walking on air, and I think I ended up running up about 10 flights of stairs and without noticing.
Mind you, your Uncle Ian's got feet this size.
Oh man.
He takes the same size feet as his sister.
That must be scary. Take the bag.
Elaine is home from the Warwick Summer School. Her parents feel there is no option but to send her to a private school. This, they hope, will provide the academic education she craves, but it means a financial struggle for the whole family.
It's every penny I earn, plus a bit what her father earns.
What is the alternative? Show us the alternative. There is no alternative. No. And if we sent her to the local comprehensive,
well,
it would be horrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
she would be totally ostracised.
She would. She would find it so difficult.
Elaine quickly settles in at her new school, where she has plenty of opportunity to indulge in her passion for languages.
And what rewards did Modestus expect?
Modestus expected money.
Okay, well, shall we make a start?
Starting manus militum a centurione ducta, autoreo contendit.
The very first time I met Elaine, she was extremely bouncy and enthusiastic. I live for my Latin, was exactly her exact words. And she loves it.
Moo moo hic, moo moo ibi, hic moo ibi moo ubique moo moo, selector laudus habebit.
I mean, it's a joy for me as a teacher to have her in the class, you know, with such enthusiasm.
Decem Britanni a worcabrique ducti, castris caute a propinquabant, worcabrix enime persuaserat.
I think this is the biggest challenge for us with Elaine, is to actually take what is her extremely special talent and nurture that so that she develops to be confident, successful amongst her peer group in all the other ways, but doesn't lose that bit of her which is special.
I didn't wear your ones today because I didn't think school would like that.
Starries with diamonds on them.
Yeah, they're cute. They're like snowflakes. She's got to take the price off them though.
Great, I really like it here. It's a nice school. Then I made some brilliant new friends, like Emma and Wiggy. Wiggy is actually Sarah, but I gave her a nickname and it just stuck. So she's called Wiggy now.
Charles is finding it hard to settle back to school after Warwick. Unlike Elaine, he stayed at the same school and is as bored as ever.
Grandma? It's a bit rubbish, really. Coming back has really brought me back down to earth, because when I was at work it was like heaven, really. It was quite cool there. But back here it's kind of dowdy, boring.
Right, listen, you've got no chance of getting anywhere on anything unless you've been here for 2 minutes. Maria, let go of him. These people, listen up. A minute, why are you drinking?
Charles is in detention. He's in trouble for not doing his homework, something that's becoming a regular problem.
I've been put into a homework club, which is for people who've missed out 5 homeworks. And I have to stay after school for an hour and a half every day for 2 weeks, which is dreadful. I shouldn't really be working at the rate that I am. I think I'm working at a lesser rate than when I went away, actually. My parents will kill me if they find out, actually.
He's also rebelling against the school system.
I think with Charles, he was always going to be head boy or nothing at all. In terms of his leadership qualities, he would have made an excellent head boy. The other lads definitely do listen to him.
Charles's rebellion means he hasn't been made head boy. Even the chance of being a prefect slipped by.
Non-conformity can be a classic sign of potential genius, not on its own in combination with high intellectual ability. But of course, if children are not encouraged when they're different, unusual, offbeat, then what can happen is they lose faith in the school because they believe that what they thought was a talent is actually disregarded by the school, and therefore it could either get sedated or it could set up resistance with children feeling defiant rather than being applauded for their nonconformity.
It's August 2003. Charles and his mother are off to collect his GCSE results. With his ability, his mother is hoping for A's in every subject.
Okay.
Yeah, good luck.
Charles Thompson. Thank you. Oh, Jesus. Ooh. Hello.
How did it go?
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I got... Wait, let me read them because I can't really remember them. Okay. Not all of them. A star in English, A in maths, double A for science, got B in RE, German and drama, and I got a C in DT graphics. I
thought you
got
get an A in RE.
So did I. So it's not bad. It's not brilliant. It's not bad.
It's okay. It's okay.
One of the brightest boys in the country. His mother can hardly hide her disappointment. But will the shock of his results be enough to spur Charles on to work?
My mum wasn't pleased with him at all. She was quiet and she didn't say anything like negative about them, but still, I know that she was like expecting all A's.
It's not that I have expectations that I feel are, you know, above him. He is an A-star student, and so he really should have been able to deliver those.
Oh, my dad's going to be hell. Oh, my God, I hadn't thought about that. He's going to bring it up quite a lot that I didn't get all A's as he expected.
Charles needs to find a way to motivate himself. If he doesn't, any potential for becoming a genius in the future could be lost. Jocelyn reveals exactly what can happen when gifted children fail to motivate themselves to work. She was labelled a potential genius, but never reached the intellectual heights predicted. And after failing her degree, she never really recovered.
Well, I've never learned how to study. I find that when I actually need to settle down and do some proper work, it takes me absolutely ages. I can find any number of ways to distract myself before I can settle down to it. Terrible.
It's a problem when life is too easy when you are young, when you don't have to revise for exams because it all comes so easily. children sometimes, they don't exactly fall by the way, but they don't do as well as they could do because they haven't got that discipline of work.
Jocelyn has also struggled to find happiness. Although she eventually retook her degree, her confidence had gone. 10 years later, while working as a teacher, she had a nervous breakdown.
I was told by a member of the senior management that they were very disappointed in how I'd not lived up to my expectations from their point of view. They thought it was going to be fantastic because I was this genius and I hadn't really done very well at all, and they were very disappointed. So that was what pushed me over the edge.
Jocelyn recovered and tried to stretch herself once more. In 1997, she entered Mastermind.
The day itself was pleasant enough, and various family and friends came to watch, and that was nice, and met Magnus Magnuson, who told me that he'd had a dream about me the night before we met, which was entertaining.
Our third contender, please. Your name, please.
Jocelyn Levin.
Occupation.
Teacher.
Hymnus Amoris, Sleep and Springtime in Funen are all choral works by which composer?
Pass.
In which unfinished oratorio does the chorus divide into the doubters, the dissatisfied, the rejoicers, the indifferent, and the gently resigned?
The Apostles?
No, Schoenberg's Jacob's Ladder. Of which composer did Bernard Shaw write, "His requiem is patiently borne only by the corpse"?
Berlioz?
No, Brahms. Which work composed to the glory...
Although Jocelyn didn't do so well in her specialist subject, she performed far better in the general knowledge round.
In the novels of Mervyn Peake, what is the name of the castle of Titus, 77th Earl of Grone?
Gormenghast.
Correct. The ruins of which great Cistercian abbey lie about 4 miles southwest of Ripon in North Yorkshire?
Fountains Abbey.
Correct. Which planet's existence was predicted by Adams and Verrier and confirmed by Galley and Darré in 1846?
Neptune.
Correct. Thank you very much.
Her old problem of finding studying difficult meant she'd failed to do the work necessary in her specialist subject. She ended up coming third.
Which was Elvis Presley's last UK #1 single while he was alive? It charted in 1970.
Today, Jocelyn prefers the pub quiz.
Name Chicago's international airport.
A long way from the bright future that was once predicted for her.
It was a case of when Jocelyn went to university, what is it she's going to do? Is she going to be some great female astronomer? You know, which we're all going to look up to, and she could have obviously achieved a lot, and so the potential was there.
It's supposed to be, but when I'm mentioning to people I've been on TV or whatever, and I tend to just refer it as, oh, it's that failed genius thing again, because I used to be really clever, but I'm not anymore. And failed genius is just a shorthand for that.
Let's battering ram first. Who's going to be battering ram? You are. Me, all right then. Come on, lad. I want to be a battering ram. Come on.
So what can be done to make sure that gifted children get the chance to realise their potential, and even perhaps to become geniuses of the future? And how can stories like Jocelyn's be prevented?
There's a whole set of other personal and impersonal factors which allow a child to reach the top. It's also this desire inside, a real desire to keep on and on and on at the same thing. Every genius shows that particular characteristic. And children who are half-heartedly playing in a dilettante way with something that they might be interested in are just not going to make it to genius.
Okay. That looks really bad. Okay.
With the children we've followed, who knows what they could achieve with the right support and motivation? Elaine already has ambitious plans.
Well, I want to go to Oxford University and study linguistics. And I want to become a professor and go on all the archaeological digs, but not get dirty. I want to be the one that sits on the sidelines.
Even with his goal, Paul is still not satisfied and has set himself a new goal.
Now I've got a gold in the IMO this year, and so now I can set myself a new target and really, really mean it. I'd really like to come top 10 in the world next year at the IMO in Greece.
Many believe that Demis is already on the path to genius. He thinks the computer games industry is only just beginning to show what it can do.
Really, I see it as analogous to the film industry, perhaps pre-Citizen Kane, before Orson Welles did his masterpiece. And I think, you know, maybe in the next 10, 20 years, someone in computer games will create something that's as great as that, and that basically elevates the whole media to a new level.
Greater love hath no man.
Charles has finally realized it's up to him to make the best use of his abilities. Only he can determine his future and prevent his potential from going to waste.
Please pick them up from over there.
But I think the GCSEs are a bit of a wake-up call, and like, I must realise that it's not all just going to come to me and I have to put in some graft.
We've got to make sure that individual geniuses flourish, because if they don't, humanity's future will be darker. It's often geniuses who make that vital breakthrough in fields like medicine, science and so on. We've got to find out early who's doing well, who's floundering and needs additional support, and then give them the facilities and opportunities to develop throughout their lives. How you could make this doll of E.T. more fun to play with?
You could make him walk, and then you could jump into the puzzles. Put some strings to his arms and make him have a puppet so he can move him around.
Now, can anyone think of something very unusual, something different?
Put a piece of fabric in between his fingers and make him like a frog in his feet. If there's a button on his nose, if you press it, loads of hair would come shooting out of his head.
Well, that's an interesting idea, isn't it?